Hi, it's Roger here from what's on DisneyPlus.com with a quick news update for you guys on a potential new Marvel series heading to Disney Plus soon. But before we go any further, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. So over the past few years, we have seen Marvel Studios slowly trying to build out its sort of team of young superheroes. We've seen Miss Marvel, we've seen American Chavez, we've seen Ironheart, we've also seen like young Hulk, we've also got in there now recently Wiccan, who's now going to be looking out for Speed. All these different characters, and there's obviously ones already existing in the MCU, and we've all been kind of expecting that they're building up to something, because in one of the post-credit scenes in the Marvels, we get to see Miss Marvel trying to recruit Kate Bishop for a new team. She also happens to plug as well the fact that Cassie Lang, who is like Ant-Man's daughter, who was in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, trying to put together this team. Now obviously, if they're dropping these kind of things in there and kind of building up these different characters and stuff, it's no surprise that, you know, most of us think that they are heading towards a potential Young Avengers project. Now, whether or not that is a film or a Disney Plus series. Now, I think generally the plan was to go towards a movie, but according to industry insider Daniel RPK, that's actually no longer going to be a case, and it's now going to be a Disney Plus series. Now, I don't think that's actually a bad thing. I think that's probably better for the characters. And the big reason for the big change is due to the failure of the Marvels at the box office, because that film was one of the worst box office flops for Marvel, and is pretty much kind of set off a chain reaction of things that have changed, because yeah, they just felt obviously that a Young Avengers film just wasn't probably going to work in that way. Now, it's important to note these are all kind of just reports and rumours. Nothing is official, nothing's been going, but we obviously know they are going in that direction because they've been dropping the hints themselves. But there's also kind of word that they might be instead using the sort of brand name Champions, which is a comic book that came out in 2016 as a superhero team featuring young heroes that have kind of got a bit just like not enjoying what the Avengers were doing, so they kind of came off. And so it looks like this Disney Plus series could use the Champions brand rather than the Young Avengers. Now, I think this is a good thing for a few reasons. I think the Young Avengers has multiple problems. First off, Avengers. That means people are going to expect a certain type of show and film, and it's also watering down the brand by using it too much. Avengers is Marvel's biggest film. It's their big super team-up events. And Young Avengers kind of waters that down a little bit, makes the Avengers seem less important. Same thing if they did West Coast Avengers or anything like that. So I do think the Avengers name needs protecting, and therefore that is one major issue for it, especially if it's a Disney Plus series. But also, more importantly, I think the Young Avengers indicates that this is teenagers, it's for kids, and therefore you're going to have adults and stuff that aren't interested in it. Moving it over to a Disney Plus series, and if they call it Champions, again, they could call it something else or do something along those lines. But having a team full of young superheroes, many of which are not what you would call mainstream characters, these are not well known, but I definitely would love to see more adventures with Kate Bishop and Miss Marvel. And I think a series actually allows them a little bit of flexibility. They can have lower stakes in terms of the missions that they have to go on. You're not necessarily always trying to save the world. Bit of smaller scale. Also, they maybe do some episodes where they've got maybe Monster of the Week. Maybe you can just have a few of them teaming up for a little bit as well. They can change the team around. It's a multi-season show that will allow them. They're also going to be much cheaper because, let's be honest, the actors in here are generally much cheaper than the big Avengers stars. So that's one key thing moving forward. And Marvel's wanted to build a kind of a multi-season show, and I think Champions or Young Avengers, I still think we're going to go with Champions, is much more likely. Now, we do know that they're filming a new series with Vision, and they're also probably going to have something happening with Wiccan and also Agatha trying to track down Speed, whether or not that's the same show. But Vision has been kind of interconnected with those groups as well, so that might be somewhere where they can move into and kind of set this whole team up. We've been seeing them dropping off these different characters, whether or not they're all in there. You know, we've got Ironheart coming up. I think this just makes so much sense just to make a young team of superheroes. I don't think this would be very big at the box office. You know, with the team, that lineup that we've got so far, we've already seen that audiences generally don't go and see big groups were full of female superheroes. It's a shame. I thought the Marvels was fun. I really enjoyed it, and I would love to see more adventures with Miss Marvel, etc. But There's no doubt about it. The box office results of that film and other films similar to that have shown that the audience just isn't there in the same way. But I would love to know, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think a Champions Young Avengers series for Disney Plus makes a lot more sense? But there's also been some other hints about this, because Disney is launching a brand new cruise ship called the Treasure in December, and they've been inviting a number of press and media on board to see the new ship, and on there is a Marvel themed restaurant. Now, in some of the footage that's come away from there, we've actually started to see that there are actually a scene involving Cassie Lang, also American Chavez, and Ironheart sitting around on a deck, just kind of like eating junk food, and they're kind of a voiceover saying, oh, they've just done a battle and stuff. And it's, you've got all the actors from the shows and the films in there. And again, this just kind of indicates that Marvel are still wanting to use these characters. And this restaurant is going to be around for years. They're not going to be updating or anything like that. I mean, obviously they can change the screens around. But it looks like they're kind of setting this up, And this cruise ship, they're probably not going to do any updates for many years, at which point a show like this could come in. And they obviously want to kind of continue on with these characters. Yeah, and probably as well, they're much cheaper to get in for a cameo than maybe getting in Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr. But nevertheless, big news. I think that's a good hint that we might end up seeing this superhero team, and I think that'd be a good thing, and they can do it also in some ways maybe a little bit cheaper. We're only having special effects in maybe a couple of the episodes, kind of final scenes and stuff. They can kind of definitely, I think, work with that, and having teenage angst and all that kind of thing. The other big problem as well is all the actors are getting a bit older. They introduced them more, but because of all the delays and stuff, some of them have been kind of getting on a little bit. Some of them are creeping into their late 20s. I mean, we'd like still to be there, but nevertheless, they are no longer, some of them, in the teenage bracket. So that timeline, maybe going with Champions allows them a little bit more flexibility. They can bring in some other characters as well. But let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe, and I shall see you guys soon. Laters.